Picture the scene, a packed auditorium at Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg is on stage, but all eyes are on the woman to his right, Sheryl Sandberg. The billionaire coup, the steady hand that transformed a startup into a global empire. From the outside, she was the picture of polished, unshakeable competence. But behind that facade was a terrifying secret, one she would later confess to the world. In her own ears, a constant, whispering voice. A voice that said, "You are a fraud, and soon everyone will know." This is not a story about conquering that feeling. This is the story of how Sheryl Sandberg weaponized her self-doubt. How the psychological phenomenon known as imposter syndrome wasn't her barrier to success. It was the hidden engine that powered it. To understand this paradox, we must find where the imposter is born. For Sheryl, it wasn't in failure, but in a world that told her she didn't belong. At Harvard, as one of the few women in her economics class. At the World Bank, and later at the U.S. Treasury under Larry Summers, surrounded by men who wore their confidence like armor. In these rooms, a psychological code was being written. A deep-seated belief that her success was a mirage, a product of luck, charm, or simply being in the right place at the right time. This is the core of the imposter complex. The terrifying fear of exposure. It's not a lack of skill. It's a fundamental inability to internalize accomplishment. Every achievement, instead of building confidence, only raised the stakes for the inevitable fall. The internal software was installed. You are an accident, and accidents get cleaned up. Now, witness the alchemy. Watch how leaden fear is spun into golden competence. That voice in her head, the one screaming fraud, created a behavioral flywheel of unparalleled performance. First, it bred relentless over-preparation. Petrified of being asked a question she couldn't answer, Sandberg would master every spreadsheet, every data point, every potential objection. She walked into meetings not just ready, but over-prepared, armed with a depth of knowledge that left no room for her own imposter to breathe. Second, it forged a leadership style of radical humility. Convinced she didn't have all the answers, she became a master of the question. What do you think? How would you do this? This wasn't a management technique. It was a survival mechanism. And in doing so, she did something revolutionary. She made her teams feel heard, valued, and psychologically safe. They weren't working for her, they were working with her. Her vulnerability built a fortress of loyalty. Third, it created an empathy machine. Because she felt like an outsider, she could see the outsiders. She championed diversity, advocated for women, and created support structures. Her own feeling of not belonging became a powerful force for making others feel they did. The very thing that made her feel weak was systematically building a culture of immense strength and resilience around her. But a mindset forged in the fire of professional doubt would face its ultimate test in the ice of personal tragedy. The sudden, shocking death of her husband, Dave Goldberg. This was the moment the imposter's narrative could have become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The voice could have won, hissing, "See? You can't even keep your own world from crumbling. You truly are a failure at what matters most." But the psychological muscles she had spent a lifetime building, the resilience, the habit of leaning on her team, the humility to be vulnerable, did not break. They held. In her profound grief, she did not hide. She leaned in, even when there was nowhere to lean. She wrote about her pain, she spoke about the void. She showed the world that the same vulnerability that powered her career was also the key to her survival. The confrontation proved her strength was never about the absence of doubt or pain, but about the profound courage to move forward, completely engulfed by it. Sheryl Sandberg's legacy, therefore, is a fundamental reframing of one of the most common human anxieties. The imposter complex is not a bug in your system. For the high achiever, it is a feature. It is a relentless, often cruel, internal coach that pushes you to levels of preparation, empathy, and humility that sheer confidence alone could never reach. The goal is not to slay the imposter. The goal is to recognize it, to sit with it, and to ask, what is this feeling motivating me to do? Is it making me work harder? Listen more intently? Lead with more humanity? Your takeaway is this. The next time that voice whispers that you are not enough, do not waste energy trying to silence it. Thank it. Then channel its nervous energy into meticulous work. Let its fear of exposure drive you to connect with your team on a deeper level. Your imposter isn't your enemy. It is the unlikeliest of mentors, pushing you toward a version of yourself that is so prepared, So empathetic and so real that you ultimately become exactly what you feared you were only pretending to be. Subscribe for more insightful contents.